Hello and welcome everyone to the second week of Valorant here at EGF Season 5 for you today, Sir Waltham and Inflict. And I'll speak for me personally, Inflict. I'm excited to be here.
Oh yeah, likewise. I mean, it's the second week. We haven't witnessed a lot of teams play just yet. There were a lot of scheduling issues that a lot of teams were facing in the first week, so we didn't exactly get an introductory session in just yet. And both of these teams that we're going to witness play right now, Rochester Institute of Technology going up against University of Tennessee, they haven't played a game yet as well. So the first game in the season, their first game that we're going to cast as well. I'm excited.
Oh yeah, absolutely excited here as we can see these teams coming up. Just in case you missed it, RIT, that's Rochester Institute of Technology versus University of Tennessee. I call them UTK all the time just as that shorthand. Going to be very excited to see these two teams go into it. Last I heard, we are just missing one or two more members before we can get things rolling ahead here. But Inflict, we do have word as to what our maps are going to be looking like. And right now we have that University of Tennessee did pick Ascent, RIT, in similar fashion picked Split, and then Haven was the leftover map, not banned, but not necessarily picked either in the most technical sense. Tell me what you think about these maps.
When you look at Ascent as being as the first map that gets picked, you generally think that either the team is very comfortable on playing this map and they have a lot of practice on it, or they're a relatively new roster because these are sort of the maps that individual players are very much comfortable on because these are the maps that have remained forever in the map pool of competitive Valorant. So, but still, if Rochester Institute of Technology they feel confident on Ascent, I'm not here to complain. Split it recently made its comeback. RIT they picked it first. Honestly, since we don't really have a lot of stats, we don't have a lot of history about these newer rosters that are playing in this season. I'm not really sure what to expect, and that sort of is understandable why teams would go for such maps because these are good grounds to learn about what your opponents are gonna do, how they like to play as well. But one thing I would like to mention is that Sunset was floating around in the map pool for quite a while. It was in the second round of bans that it actually was taken out before Haven was left as the decider. So these teams, it seems like they do have confidence in their newer strategy that they tend to come up with, having such a new map in the map pools that late as well. So it seems like they have the confidence as well, just coming off of the map pool alone. But we're gonna have to wait and see how they play.
Absolutely have to agree here. I mean, it's the fact that we haven't seen these teams on stream yet. I'll be honest here, Inflict. It makes our jobs, you and I, a lot easier. I mean, we're going to get to pick up, exactly how these teams play, the mindset behind them. We're going into these without as much expectation. I'm still expecting a very good performance from both of these teams, but I wouldn't say, we expect these specific score lines to be put up. We just don't have that data yet.
Yeah, absolutely. We didn't know just as much as the audience does right here. But as the teams prepare, we actually are gonna have a match after this one as well, which is going to be between Montana State University going up against University of Cincinnati. As soon as we're done with this game, we're gonna head over straight to that. So that's going to be pretty exciting as well. I believe University of Cincinnati has already played a game last week, which they ended up winning in a 2-1 fashion. They conceded 21 rounds in all three of these maps combined. But so a relatively close game that they had last week, but they're already working off of a win, so they're definitely going to be feeling good about themselves.
Yeah, and kind of on the other side of that, I was actually lucky enough to cast the Montana State game last week. And Montana, they were really struggling on that first map, but as we kind of moved forward, I believe it was Sunset. As we moved forward, Montana started to pick themselves up, kind of dust themselves off, and really come into that second map very competitively. Didn't quite work out for them, but that's a tale for another time. As we are about to head into RIT versus Tennessee, UTK coming in here. And tell me what you might expect to see in these composites. Well, what you would expect to see if we didn't already see RIT blasting in the locks.
I was actually hoping that maybe we see something out of the ordinary from one of these teams, like maybe a Sky pick in there, maybe an Astra loaded in, because Astra has recently made her comeback into the meta slightly as well, and Ascent has been a really big advocate for Astra's comeback into the meta. But it seems like we're probably gonna have a mirror matchup with pretty much a basic setup. There's nothing that stands out of the ordinary. A double initiator setup, the Jets being used as the duelists, the KJs for the Sentinels, and the Omen. So it's a literal mirror matchup for both of these teams. It's just going to be about the execution of strategy here for about who takes this away.
Yeah, and that's a very interesting thing I like to see when we get these mirror matchups. You know, there's two ways you could look at it, right? You could look at a composition that's not a mirror matchup and say, okay, these are why the teams kind of differ. Or if it is a mirror matchup, you can kind of say, oh, well, this is a great basis for how these teams will compare against each other if they're planning on playing in the exact same fashion. And looking at this now, already we're starting to see a little bit of a difference in buys significantly, although that being said, it looks like UTK hasn't quite committed to their buys too firmly, particularly Vicious and Copium.
Yeah, but we have 20 seconds before we kick this round off, so we're gonna wait and see how exactly they look to buy.
Mhm.
But Sticky Rice, he's definitely feeling confident in his aim, even while we're starting things off. He's bought that Sheriff loaded in, so he's going to be a key player to look at right now. And behind that, it seems like RIT they might want to play aggressive. They already have a couple of players stacked over towards their main, but they're definitely absolutely open as UIT as UTK, excuse me, to make progress over towards the B side.
That is going to be the first call. That Killjoy already set up. You can see a ton of utilities set up towards that entry. Nova just waiting, perhaps seeing if they can get any more abilities out. Hunter already lined up, ready to throw it.
Standing
sonar arrow. Doesn't find it on the side of UTK. It doesn't look like too much information is gathered for RIT. It's going to be closed. Nova trading shots, but not quite able to land anything. Although activity here. Holding a site pretty proficiently though.
One enemy remaining.
Killer goes absolutely humongous all by himself. Those three kills over towards Short and Sticky Rice, putting that Sheriff to good use right there, and a solid defense from RIT. They got pressurized earlier on, but as you mentioned, the KG setup was absolutely perfect. The smoke behind it to back it up, it didn't allow UTK to have any presence whatsoever within the B site. So they were forced to rotate out. They had Noah core push into the site, but there was only so much that he could have done against three players present. Vision Killer going humongous. He didn't need any help whatsoever. Just held down B Short all by himself, and that was the round right there.
And I'm not sure it's going to be the perfect we saw out of the solo for RIT. That Ares ready to blast through the wall. Should anybody be trying to push through B? I think that was a smart call for
enemy kill.
Gun disadvantage, although they're getting to a nice fair trade out. Stay with us. Hopefully be able to trade up their weaponry here, at least make it a little bit more of an even fight. Looks like they're trying to get right on the site, but that Ares has some difficult words for him.
The ability to just spam through smokes and gamble for a kill, it's very powerful in such rounds where your opponents are just running around with with just pistol. So man advantage for RIT. This round should not have been this close this earlier on, but Goon Guy, he could seal the deal right here.
One enemy remaining.
Oh! That was tough. It looked for a moment like KJ and KO just might both absolutely miss each other. Copium might not be aware really much here. This could cost them.
They died underneath our boots.
Alrighty, that looked a tad bit scary to kick things off, I'm not going to lie. Having lost Vision Killer and Sticky Rice earlier on, but they recovered pretty nicely. That they held on, didn't get too aggressive to try and just keep the players away from the weapon. UTK, I mean, honestly, you can't really complain about that round. You're getting a full line into this one. You got a couple of frags, so keeping the economy of RIT in check simultaneously. So that's as good as it could have gotten, except a win maybe.
Yeah, maybe claiming back a few more kills by solo than UTK. That's too much. Sticky Rice getting really aggressive off that flash, getting two, and then
Last player standing.
RIT blast being as aggressive as possible. It certainly pays off for him. Sticky Rice going to be trading up, as does the KO.
Wow, that confidence and the confidence in himself and the ability to and the ability of Vision Killer as well, that he will have sufficient utility to back him up and keep the players over towards middle away from Sticky Rice. He was able to isolate those two fights over towards middle, get those frags, use the smoke to upgrade his weapon and swing out, came out swinging on the rest of the players, getting that 4K. And RIT, they've already secured a 3-round lead, and with the economy of ETK completely broken, RIT, they're looking like a very scary team right now.
Yeah, this is kind of a very dangerous position to be in if you're UTK. You can't let that economy start to snowball behind you. It's going to be very difficult here for UTK
Standing ahead
to get any sort of headway. Information is going to be revealing them, and that Ares draining through the walls. No, Delta's very careful, doesn't have a lot of health left to play. As the site's still held by quite a bit of neutral utility, that Omen Smoke also going to make it quite difficult to push through, but it looks like UTK will have the wherewithal to pull back and try to reassess their situation.
Manta is just going to ensure that they completely clear it off. As UTK, they look to make it yet again that provides the best defense. They are finally entering into the site.
Spike planted.
Jay Boogie able to get one. I was a little bit worried. Looked like he was
One
swinging
enemy
that
remaining.
recon dart a little bit fast. But Jay Boogie, their location is going to be revealed. That they managed to get one, but Sticky Rice is going to be the only life they managed to pull off this board. For now, it's going to be a defuse coming in from RIT, now putting them in a 4-0.
Yeah, and UTK, they're struggling to start strong on this map, which is their own map pick as well. RIT, they picked the side, and with a mirror matchup, as you said at the very beginning of the map, this is going to very much define about how these teams match up against each other, because there's not going to be a difference about what utility both of these teams have. UTK, they need to ensure that RIT don't run away with the first half completely, because with how dominant they're looking and with how confident, especially Sticky Rice and Vision Killer are looking, this could get very dangerous very quickly.
And you talk about danger, and I immediately start looking at that op in the hands of Sticky Rice. We've already seen how aggressive Sticky can be towards that mid possession. Manages to get one right off the bat. Copium not going to be able to push any more smokes onto the advantageous chokes for the offensive team, and that's going to make things very difficult for UTK to try to get any entry on the site.
Yeah, UTK now being put in a conundrum that it seems like they don't have an answer to. They're scattered around, they're trying to figure out, they're hoping that maybe somebody from the side of RIT pushes them and gives them some space that they can work off of, but now that they even have a full arsenal, a full loadout working in their favor, it's just that still there's nothing going on in their way, and they have to check every single corner before approaching. You can see how cautious UTK is while approaching A main, and it's starting to give me a sense that they're slightly afraid of RRT at this point.
And they should be. Look at Sticky Rice right now, has already rotated off that mid zone that it seems like UTK is so fearful of holding. Economy just waiting to push through and then immediately taken down by Sticky Rice. Good discipline coming in from the Jet player. Outlandish is able to take the shot onto Wills, but it's not going to be enough. I believe that's their third. Finally gets put down by Jay Boogie. Silva seems to be one of the few players getting killed for UTK, but it's not going to quite be enough. Hunter with the wall bang into the headshot ensures the defenders come up clean with their fifth.
My quiver is never full.
He's found 4 frags in 2 rounds, but it's just not enough for him, for his team to be able to come back from. And it seems like they're going for a force mine this round as well. They have a couple of elements online, which can allow them to play a tad bit more aggressively to enter into a site, especially that null command online for Wishes. But their weaponry is not looking too pretty, so it's going to be problematic regardless for them. They have a hero vandal in the hands of Economy, but can it really convert around?
And this is going to continue to get difficult for UTK. They know that the KJ setup is likely on B. That off threat is present on mid. And I mean, we see that Nova tries the entry and immediately is taken down by Goonguy, courtesy of focus on that site. Mission killer. Able to throw shots down. Overloaded is activated. Trying to take the shots on the Kobe, but does find it successful, even if they don't do it in a relatively safe spot. They'll don't have the overload up to still get revived. This time around, Jay Boogie, one of the swings out a little bit too wildly, can't quite connect on the Goonguy, who does get their third for the round.
And as we move forward into this map, it seems like the rounds are getting shorter and shorter. RIT, it's just the reads of UTK are getting better. UTK are feeling more and more confused about how they want to approach a round. I really think it's high time that UTK call a timeout and try and change things up, stir things around a little bit, because Goonguy and Hunter, both of them have 0 deaths. Sticky Rice, 10 frags already. We're only 6 rounds deep into this map, and this is UTK's map pick. I can only wonder what RIT is going to do instead of this team.
RIT are setting a very good standard for what the defense should look like for UTK, but UTK is going to be trying to get on the side. No before, perhaps getting a bit too aggressive, walks right into a man. Vicious is down, so can get back up and is brought back up as the door gets closed on the A side. And for the first time in a couple of rounds, we're going to start seeing UTK have that spike down and start putting that time pressure on the defenders now.
Ooh, that could be costly, and it is. That's one fall, and now 3 retaking the Collegiate. Lockdown is online as well. They probably would like to invest it already, and there it is.
Placing sentry.
That's going to be very difficult for the attackers. They have to get somebody in the tree to try to take it out. Although I'm not sure if they see it. No, they are just going to be trying to back off. Although 2 players do get the chase. That could be essential. And with Hunter taking down the one member who wasn't. See,
one enemy remaining.
Hunter managed to pull back, and it looks like there might not quite be enough time. That is going to be 1 point up for University of Tennessee, but they had to fight tooth and nail for that 1 point.
Even a round where you were up 3 versus 1 in a post plant, it got so close. A 0.41 second differential. It was all that it took for UTK to finally secure their round. Hunter almost closing that round out as well, but still on 0 deaths. And RIT, even though they lost a round, they lost that one in grace.
I mean, if you look at it, RIT, it cost them a little bit more numerically. UTK only invested 1 ult, RIT invested, I believe, 3. So it's going to be a little bit more for them to build up to equivalence in their opponents here. But so far, they're doing a great time again, threatening those multiple different angles. And I like the change-up we're seeing from them. That Killjoy, now on A's site, Sticky Rice putting bullets into economy off of B. This is going to be great, and it only helps to weaken University of Tennessee, who so far, again, struggling to get a foothold.
Absolutely, and as you said, UTK, they do have more ultimates online as well, and getting that lockdown eliminated earlier on proved to be extremely vital for them in post-man scenarios. But ooh, he's found his first death. Vicious follows up with a kill of his own, and it seems like UTK, they found their way into the A side. A 3 versus 4 retake, and UTK finally finding some strong rounds to work off of.
Oh, and Vicious doesn't quite have, could barely just miss the barrel of Sticky Rice's up. It's going to be very difficult here, but the scan might go out, doesn't detect anybody on those rafters, so Vicious can't just fire through to get those nice, easy wall bangs. RIT has to be aware of those players playing underneath, and J Boogie is stuck in a very vulnerable spot with the Guardian trying to make a connect, but Sticky Rice getting 4 kills. That had some potential from Tennessee, but it just didn't even hold it.
Sticky Rice is absolutely fearsome right now. UTK, even in the post-round scenario where they had a man advantage, it just felt like they were giving out quite a lot of individual fights that they didn't exactly have to. Or RIT, their ability to just isolate those fights out has been so vital and so good as well so far.
Right
that
here.
it seems like that even when UTK have the slight hand above and have a man advantage going for them, those 2v1 fights or 3v1 fights that RIT can successfully set up just automatically removes that man advantage that UTK has.
Revealing area.
We're going to be seeing RIT throw in that
Right here.
recon dart. And not able to find too much, but trying to fire through the wall. Not able to connect with too much, but
Here.
will certainly dissuade, perhaps, the side of UTK from trying to push through it. Copium Addict has to be very careful. If they walk into that smoke, they're going to be met by the shorty from Sticky Rice. They certainly don't need to be adding any more notches to that player's weapon.
Here.
Oh, but that was a good read by Copium. They know that Sticky Rice is right there. They don't switch off that paranoia, though. An interesting choice. Oh, it's going to be the shock darts coming through. Sticky Rice actually getting pressured out by the white shot coming from UTK. It's not going to be enough. Oh, guys managed to connect on the Copium.
That's a massive frag. That's the smokes eliminated. Now they have to make some moves, and they're gonna have absolutely no cover whatsoever to do that. So Bush has gone down as well. So has Nova. So leaving only 2 players behind, and this round is done and dusted as well. But Sticky Rice tagged down to 30 HP. So their UTK, as they go out, they want to take away something from the economy or weaponry from the side of RIT.
I mean, quite frankly, even if they pull one weapon from the hands of RIT,
30
it's
seconds
not going to
left.
quite matter. I imagine RIT still has a
Placing
pretty
swamp
full
grenade.
bank. They haven't been suffering too many losses. Right now, we see the Killjoy for UTK just trying to flush out anybody they can.
One
Make
enemy
those,
remaining.
possible breaks. Not able to find anything, and Jade Boogie finding the wrong end of the barrel from Moon Guy.
And a flawless 8th round. Even if their economy wasn't in a pristine condition, now it will be. They lost absolutely no weapons whatsoever. All of them pretty much had their armors intact as well, and they're gonna have very little to no investment going into this round, as a 7-round lead has already been secured. They won this half by a mile right now, and they can put double digits very easily on board right here, because UTK now, if they lose this round, double digits are pretty much confirmed for RIT.
I mean, I don't need to say this, but UTK have to pull the E-break here. They need to stop this momentum from RIT. That is a task, I acknowledge, much easier said than done. Information we gather here for the side of University of Tennessee. We're seeing Novacore with an up of their own. Trying to exchange shots and stick around. And immediately takes the shots, gets the better of their opposing Jets, and it does give UTK a little bit of space to operate onto a site here, but they have to be careful. We've seen Sticky Rice go up onto these Raptors and absolutely wreck shot before, but not this time. Copium puts a stop to it early.
Yeah, 3 versus 4 yet again, and this time around, though, UTK, they have 3 ultimates. They have to ensure that they use those efficiently, and instead of taking on fights, they can just delay RIT's defuse. They can just hold them back using smokes, using the lockdown, using that here, and there you go. That's the lockdown and rest of the time. He's already found one to kick things off.
And Copium just having some unfortunate timing there, has that paranoia out as the smokes drop. They're caught with their pants down a little bit. We got 2 HP. Hunter trying to connect through 2 Raptors, but it's not going to be quite enough. Vision Killer trying to just get any exits they can. They probably accept that there's not going to be any time to defuse. In fact, there will not, and it's going to be a second round for UTK, so that is pulling on the E-break just a little bit, like I mentioned.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that UTK hasn't decided to go for a timeout just yet, but they've won a round, and hopefully they can put a pause to dominate the domination that RIT has been putting up consistently. But if they can even win, get 4 rounds on by the end of the first half, I'd be very much surprised and happy, considering the start that UTK had.
I would agree. UTK had a rough start, a rough half of the first half of the first half, we'll say. But anything is possible. Certainly wilder things have happened here at EGF. Sticky Rice, however, that is not an unusual sight. Seeing them get 1 more onto Novacore. It's just managing to trade so that Sticky Rice, that carry potential for RIT, not going to quite be in effect, but they are still up in manpower. 3 remain standing for the attacking team, as it looks like they're trying to pivot, maybe looking for a B-side push.
They're on the rotation, but RIT, they have the read as well. They've left middle open a little bit, but they have the KJ utility to defend the B side as well. Wills is close by to help his fellow out. Meanwhile, the rest of the 2 players, they've cleared out the A side, so they have all the information that they possibly could have wanted. With only 50 seconds left on the clock, UTK, they're going to be moving fully into the side, and now watching them out as well.
It is going to be the turret taken down, so no Killjoy. Turret to stir at anybody trying to make the pass from B main. Swarm grenades going out, but it's not going to be enough.
1 enemy remaining.
Just or to economy. Jay Boogie finally going to be putting a stop to it.
30 seconds left.
Jay Boogie seeming to be one of the more consistent players for this team. Now has to try to suss out exactly where that Killjoy is, but might not be aware if the KO or the Sova are with them. Looks like they might be having an inclination that they're either behind box or in boat. And Jay Boogie going to be trying to exchange shots. The turret is immediately going to come from the Killjoy. Managed to get taken down. Jay Boogie has to go for the plant here. And back on his leg, barely dodges it. Very dangerous. As Vision Killer has them down. Shots trying to come through, but it's not going to be enough. That will be a defuse coming in from RIT. Very competitive, though, for UTK, I would say.
Yeah, it was, but the confidence of RIT, it's honestly speaking for itself. That was an absolutely unnecessary Hunter's Fury that we just saw Hunter use.
Last round in the half.
We're reaching the end of the first half, and honestly, there might not be a better chance for him to use it. Vision Killer, though, was able to comfortably win that one out, and now Rochester just on the brink of securing double digits by the end of the first half on UTK's map pick. UTK, they're already in extremely dangerous territory. The ability to come back from this is going to speak a lot about their resilience if they can do that, but with the momentum and the consistency that RIT has been playing with, I'm not sure if that happens.
I'd be a lying man if I told you that I saw it as the most predictable thing to happen. That being UTK coming back with full force in the second half. But A, going to be relatively empty, and we're going to be seeing those smokes go out on towards the meaning that the attacking team UTK is going to have a little bit of information, and Vision Killer looks like they got seen by that drone, so they have to back off, take the opportunity to just regroup themselves, let their team collect, and it's a rather fast plant coming in from UTK as they get nestled in here, ready to defend. We see Jade Boogie perhaps having an opportunity to defend Sticky Rice. Just misses out, that is fatal!
Best player for UTK so far, unfortunately, that time around, but the rest of the players, they continue with
One enemy
trying,
remaining.
but they're eventually falling down one by one.
And Hunter just starting to, as you mentioned from last round, really not show that respect. Just I believe that was a full
Switching
sprint
sides.
Odin run towards the jet. And I mean, they were confident they were going to get that kill, and if not, it was last round anyway. I'm sure they were confident in the rest of their team to pick it up. But now we're seeing the team's flip side, and UTK has quite a bit of defending work to do if they want to come up victorious on Ascent.
Yeah, that they do. This pistol run is going to be absolutely mandatory for UTK to close out, though, because if RIT are gonna, if RIT win this pistol round, this map is pretty much done and dusted, and I'm not sure how this scoreline speaks about the whole series as well. This is UTK's map pick, and getting dominated in such a fashion, it's looking like Split is going to be even more scary.
Once
Well,
abreast.
for our casting's sake, I hope we certainly get perhaps a bit more of a competitive game on second map, but we still have plenty of Valorant here to go. Novacore going to be dashing out, looking towards mid, but right now, UTK already very quick to react. We see them shifting quite a few of their members over towards A site, whether that's because of a quick response or whether they're just perhaps being a little bit too quick on the draw. Remains to be seen. Gloom Guy manages to get one as Pokematic tries to make their way back towards Stream. Not quite able to connect onto it though. And RIT has 3 members on, well, 5 members up while the spike goes down on site. It's going to be the Soma, the Omen, who are still there on site physically, boots on the ground.
Ooh, Wills, he spotted one out, and that's a great kill as both man now leaving only 2 behind for UTK behind the flash wishes. He's trying to
Last
gain
player
something,
standing.
but the double peek, it's efficient, and RIT close out the pistol, and this is exactly what I was talking about. UTK, now that they've lost the pistol, with only 2 rounds left for RIT to win this map, and there's UTK having absolutely no money to properly invest into weapons this time around. RIT are pretty much done here. They just have to win 2 rounds, and with the arsenal that they currently have, it could very much happen right here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it looks like UTK have no other option but just to buy what they can and try to make something happen. And to be fair, we have seen UTK come up with a couple of kills early on against RIT, which means that they can trade up those weapons. But here, RIT's not giving them too much more. But right there, we see an instant kill onto Novacore from Vision Killer. KO certainly paying their way. As now the attackers on site, this defense is kind of crumbling. Economy getting a little bit reckless there. Does take down Sticky Rice, so that is a huge advantage, but it is certainly not the only one you needed. 2 members on site. Jake Boogie not quite sure where to look.
Spike
Tries to take the
down,
peek onto
B.
the other side of the boxes, but it's just a 50-50.
Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
Now win a 1v1, but Wills is going to ensure that RIT hit match point, and as you said, UTK, they've
Match
shown their
point.
some signs of life in the eco rounds as well, but they've just been unsuccessful in closing out those rounds, and that's really been the story of pretty much the second half of this map as well. There were a lot of rounds that got extremely close. The post plans were actually favorable for UTK, but RIT's ability to close out rounds has been just so impressive that UTK, they've struggled across the board, and it seems like they have no response or no fixes for that.
Well, it might be a little too late here as
Too
UTK
suppressed.
very busted armory, too suppressed, courtesy of Vicious on that KO, and we're going to see the defense probably get a bit heady here. Vicious leaning in outside of tree, immediately gets seen by that drone, has to back out, making sure to check their corners, and immediately check Vicious into the hospital, into the morgue, I should say, with a shot from that sheriff. Now looking Immediately backing out, though, so they're not just content to push through tree with that weakened state. Instead, looks like they want to try to pivot, figure out, do a little bit more poking and prodding at their opposition in UTK.
This aggression, it doesn't exactly work out, but it was it could have been a ray of hope. Sadly, that's not the case though. Jay Boogie out of the area, he's forced to push back behind that nade. But already a rather comfortable bomb plan for them in a 5 versus 3 this round. Looks like it might just be the end of map number 1. UTK's own map pick proves to be extremely deadly for them as well, as the bomb eventually goes down.
Smoke is going to be coming out from Copia, but they don't check both sides of that doorway. They killer hit and just take them out with a frenzy. That's a definite tragedy on the half. Killer immediately going to be pushing in again, trying to get another frenzy. Kill does to get the third this time around. Jay getting one final one before being buried for the last time here on the set.
I mean, honestly, just wow. There's only so much you can talk about this map at this point because RIT they just ran a bulldozer over UTK, quite frankly. And from the start of this map, the confidence of RIT, it clearly showed after the pistol and the second round. The jet pushing up over towards middle, it spoke a lot about how RRT were feeling about their individual capabilities, and that just continued throughout the whole game. UTK, they had absolutely no response for them. They tried to switch things up a little bit, but it just wasn't enough.
It certainly wasn't, and I hope that this is not the UTK that we are going to be seeing for the rest of the season. I hope we see something change, whether it's just, this is the first game, they have to get some nerves out, they have to get some some sort of discrepancy resolved within their team, whatever the case may be. I really hope we see them shape up, and I hope we see them do that before our next map on Split. But folks, before we go there, we will be taking a short break, so make sure you stick around. We'll be right back. Hey, hi. Welcome back. RIT versus Tennessee, University of Tennessee, I should say. And I don't we were talking about it a little bit over the break here in Flicked. That was just an incredibly fast first map on Ascent, almost like a blink and you'll miss it type situation. There were some moments of brightness for UTK, but in your opinion, what do you think needs to kind of happen for them to kind of put the lid back on, stop this thing from boiling over, and come back, potentially take Split and Haven away from RIT?
To be completely honest with you, the likelihood of them taking split, it seems extremely slim to me. But if they can do it, I think they're gonna have to pull off something absolutely ridiculous, and they're gonna have to pull out either an agent composition that we have never seen anybody use, or just something out of the very much ordinary. Either it's strategy, either they have a couple of players popping off extremely where they have like a couple of aces, and they just carry them through those first few rounds in order to just gain their team the momentum that they can hopefully work off of. But they need a player that can show up. They need a superstar in this very moment, or they need something out of the completely ordinary. They need to catch their RIT off guard, I think, because with the momentum that RIT have, especially coming off of a win that was UTK's map pick, they're looking too strong.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. They need to pull something deep out of the playbooks. And you mentioned map picks here. We are going to be taking a quick recap look at these maps. As you can see, Ascent's going in the way of RIT. Splits, which was RIT's pick, now going to be coming up next. And should it be necessary, should Tennessee pull that Hail Mary play, we're going to be going over to Haven to see exactly what these teams are going to be capable of on that 3-site map. But overall, Split going to be the next hurdle for UTK to try to cross. And I'm not quite sure exactly what needs to happen. I mean, one thing you mentioned a little bit early on into Ascent here in Flicked that I completely agree with was we did not see Tennessee utilize their timeouts, their pause breaks to regain themselves mentally, maybe talk about that strategy. And that's something I think that could vastly help them, especially if they're taking this opportunity during our 3-minute break.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, having a minute to talk about the problems, to change things up, to calm your nerves down a little bit, can be the complete difference maker. When you were down, when a team goes down 6-0, I automatically assume, heck, even if a team goes down 4-0 or 5-0, I'm assuming that they should take a timeout right there immediately to just ensure that they don't lose as many rounds and can make a comeback as quickly as possible. But UTK, they just kept on delaying it, and the inevitable then took place. RIT though, we know for a fact that Split can be very much defense heavy, and RIT they proved their ability on the defense as well. They won 10 rounds on Ascent defense. Split, it can even get worse for UTK.
Yeah, I mean this could be, you know, the final straw that breaks the camel's back for UTK. But I want to break this down a little bit more into macro here in Flicks. We do have a little bit more time. We are just waiting on one more player to get back, and that's I want to talk about perhaps to me the biggest gap in between these two teams. We talked about it. We saw a mirror matchup on Ascent, and one of the agents we saw was that Jet, and you know you have the Jet on RIT Sticky Rice going in there and just absolutely dominating, had an op pretty much every round after I think it was the fourth or fifth, and then just maintained that. And then on Tennessee, you had the Jet, I believe it was Nova, not looking nearly as verbose, not looking nearly as strong and perhaps confident. And I start to wonder if that's a player issue or if that's maybe their team's not enabling them enough.
It really comes down to what the confidence was looking like from the side of RT, in my opinion. You know, they all of their team was feeling confident. UTK, they felt hesitant, so it might just be the issue of enabling them. But map one's done. Map two, that's what we're here for now. It's split, and we already have RAT completely locked in. They know for a fact what they're running around with, and a double duelist setup. Sticky Rice on the Raze, Wills on the Jet, and alongside a double controller, which I'm not really surprised about on maps where defense can be quite a lot more favorable. Teams actually tend to go for those double controller setups as well, because controllers are actually partly sentinels in sort of a way as well, because Viper's wall is technically a tripwire where you, instead of giving information, it deals a bit of damage and makes your opponents vulnerable. It keeps them away for a
Select your
little bit
agent.
longer as well. You know, UTK though, oh, they've pulled out a chamber, so that's something I actually was not expecting. But economy on the Astra, a double duelist setup for them as well. UTK though, they're gonna have to really make this double duelist setup work, and Vicious, he needs to go absolutely humongous because he's the sentinel here. He's going to be the key player on defense for UTK.
I tend to agree, and it's interesting that RIT is going to be coming out with that double controller. And one thing you mentioned at the start of Ascent is that you were kind of surprised, or you were expecting, or maybe hoping to see some of that Astra play come through. And now that we're moving on to Split, we are going to be seeing that coming out from both teams. And that gets me a little bit nervous for UTK, because Astra, one of those heroes to me that requires quite a bit of communication to and from your team to know when the abilities are going off, when you need to pull your stars, that kind of thing. And if Economy doesn't have that, then it might be like having, you know, one half or one quarter of a controller rather than a full one in Brim or Omen.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping that UTK, they've had their mental reset. They've let that map one slide, and because those slight miscommunications can be really costly when you're playing when you're playing an agent such as Astra. Because as you said, communication is going to be extremely crucial. Those micro seconds, those very few seconds can make a difference, as a massive difference as well in this game. And RIT, coming off of a massive win on map one, they look to secure the first round to kick things off on their own map pick now.
Oh, Vicious. This is a very forward hold. Within that nebula, the second it drops, there are so many angles that they could get a little bit pressured from, but they are trying to hold it as close to that box as they can. And it's going to be the ult picked up. Vicious is going to have that, but the rest of RIT just backing out, soft footing it all the way up towards that tower, trying to exchange shots. Vision using that Trailblazer as well. J-Boogie trying to use their utility to threaten that midsection as well. Novacore has an opportunity, but looks away for just a second. That might cost him again. You get one. Can't quite connect on the second. The unfortunate reload has to come through. And who else but Sticky Rice? Trying to chase those utility shots for the ghost, or for the clash. Using Boom Guy eventually able to take down J-Boogie. And a lot of shots going back and forth, but right now, it's even for both of these sides. Vicious weaving around vents, ready to swing onto that Astra and Viper.
One enemy remaining.
He kill it. Oh, he lines both of them up perfectly. And a very much needed pistol round to kick things off for UTK right here. A round that started off rather slow for UTK. RIT, they're playing extremely cautiously. They used their utility in advance. They first tried to, they first played for the ultimate orb. They played cautiously over towards middle, but UTK, they were prepared this time around, and a very much needed pistol round secured for them.
This Viper wall coming out from Goon Guy is going to make it a little bit difficult for the defense to get a handle on exactly where the attackers are going, at least until it might be a moment too late for Nova. Scotty Light going to be going out, but Goon Guy going to be throwing up the wall and backing out immediately. Vicious with a nice headshot on the Sticky Rest. I talked about it during the break. Sticky Rest, one of those essential players coming through, and Vicious just barely missing Will. Going to be the stun coming out, but Copium taken down by Goon Guy as that server is being used. Economy almost not able to land those shots. Does manage to connect though. That's going to be spiked down. An essential get for the defending UTK right now. And it looks like Vision Killer wasn't able to pull that spike up as they retreated.
Yeah, and RIT, although they've gotten a couple of frags in their favor, they have not been able to retrieve any weaponry. Vision has been tagged down a little bit as well. And their Goon Guy, although he's actually found a Spectre now, he has absolutely no shield. So UTK is still looking good. The spike is right in front of them as well. So alright, ooh, the damage on the Vision Killer almost got him as well. So this looks like a round UTK has successfully secured already. This is only a matter of time.
One enemy
to
remaining.
officially close things out. But UTK
30 seconds
very
left.
much needed to start to map number 2.
Yeah, Goon Guy going a little bit too fast. The zipline actually being heard by the defending UTK. Vicious Killer trying to check on top of boxes, but Jade Boogie was there waiting for him right around Pillar. And this is what I was hoping to see from UTK. A little bit more competitive now. However, this is going to be where RIT can start to close that gap. Now rifles are in hand for him. UTK looking like the underpowered ones when it comes to the armory.
Yeah, but
A gift.
it's only a bonus round for them, regardless of whether they win or lose. They're gonna be able to fully buy into the next one though. Although they're hoping that they can now mount a big lead as well, like RID did earlier on. But one thing that I would like to mention is that RID, I'm actually very happy about how they're approaching this map. Although they had a very dominant win on map number 1, they're still playing cautiously. They're thinking their utility through. You can see how they're using their smokes. They're making sure that they have every single gap cleared out before they approach a place. And ooh, a big frag for Goon Guy to kick things off as Vicious falls.
Ooh, but that's gonna be equalizer. Sticky Rice going down, followed by Problematic. Oh, Wills tries to go a little bit too heady into the mid. And does get taken down. A couple shots from the Vandal will do it. Both Jets still tending towards that mid, but it's going to be the attacking team, RIT, going in for the point. Two members for UTK who have to go in for that retake. Both duelists, so they really need to try to deliver here and get those frags, but against 4, that's lofty.
One enemy remaining.
Wills has spotted one out, and there you go. That's a frag delivered. J Boogie now yet again. The man has been the last player alive. I'm not even sure how many times at this point, and he's usually been able to find a 1 or 2 frags by the end of the round, but I'm not sure if that's going to be the case this time around, as well as Goonga takes him out, and RIT not allowing UTK to build up a lead earlier on as they can get their first round on board as the 3rd.
And that's right around what you would expect when you go into that 3rd round. The team that wins 2nd going to be a little bit underpowered by the time these rifles come to full force. We mentioned it earlier, and now equal rifle usage across the board. Maybe Copium decides to be a little bit more reserved. It looks like the Econ will kind of force them into that, although I think Copium actually bought a Vandal last round, so interesting choice in terms of their economic usage, but we'll see if it pays off for him.
Still 4 rifles online for UTK, so not the worst of the scenarios either. RIT though, still playing this rather slow. That flash gonna enable Sticky Rice to peek out, and that's a great first frag. This is gonna allow them to push into the B side behind it, but that paint shell going to keep the players of RIT at bay for the time being, though, as eventually they head in.
Oh, J-Boogie only going to be able to find one. They were just facing down the entirety of RIT. That's going to give a good read for the two remaining members of UTK, though. If that communication is there, that there are going to be a lot of people on site. Not too many on that road, so
Spike planted.
they can use that to potentially get a bit more aggressive. UTK can, that is. Vicious has to be careful here, checking it left side. They fail to do so, and Wills almost gets the kill.
Last player standing.
Dangerous as Copium begins to fall. He manages to get two. Has to be aware that that one is still below that. No, excuse me. Yes, take that one out. But this chamber is 2 HP. That is going to be a costly tumble. And inside that Viper orb, Moon Guy just waits for their break.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of time as well. Precious eventually falls to the hands of Goon Guy, and this is again looking a tad bit similar to what we saw in map number 1. RIT, their ability to just isolate those fights out has been so impressive. You know, that first frag that they got on Nova Core behind Vision Killer's flash, that's one fight isolated. They used the flash. There's only one player up in front of the flash, while the rest were all behind it. So they're going to be either completely flashed or there's absolutely no one on site. One fight isolated, then there is no immediate defense available on to the side. So RIT, they either had to face the resilience of a couple of players that were present close by, or a full site retake from the rest of the 4 players. RIT, they gambled on it and it worked out in their favor. RIT, it's their confidence that's really been the difference maker so far, in my opinion.
And Vicious, I hate to say it, but you can only play in this position within that Astra Nebula for so long before RIT eventually starts to get the idea that maybe they can manipulate that. Maybe they can start using that to their advantage, having that pre-gained information. Economy going to be held up towards events. I believe they were pulling 1 star away from...
Party's
Oh, Nova Core managed to get one. Make it a second. That is huge value for the Bucky in sewers. Well, RIT is going to have the opportunity to pull themselves, try to rotate towards that A, but of course the read will be there. UTK has to have some sort of idea. J-Boogie might want to make something happen, but with that underpowered armor, he's going to be very
And the Viper Spit investor as well will get the equalizer, and although the Vision ultimate is online as well, he's going to have absolutely no vision within the Viper Spit, so that's going to be pretty much neutralized as well. Economy though, ooh, he could be the difference maker here with the shorting up close, and no, Moonga, he has the perfect.
Last player standing.
That is very tough. There is not much, and it seems a little bit unorganized for what they're trying to do. Oh, as Vicious, I believe, didn't even check their corners, or maybe just passed through the nebula, as Hunter did at that exact moment. And RIT making it happen. That Viper's Pit well placed and well utilized to RIT's advantage.
Yeah, Goon Guy, he's been the difference maker in this map.
They get
11
dropped?
kills, 2 deaths. Even, I don't think Sticky Rice was that quick to hit double-digit frags in the last map. I think it took him 6 rounds to do so. But 5 rounds for Goon Guy to get 11 rounds secured. His ultimate was already popped once. And we have 2 more ultimates online for the side of RIT. While UTK, although they have 4 rifles and a few ultimates online as well, their backs are completely against the wall. They lose this, they're going to go down on a full eco round.
Of course, location is going to be revealed. The Seekers try to chase them out. Barely has to dash out of the way of that paint shell. And Nova Core going to be stuck in a very tight spot. And Sticky Rice has that showstopper, but doesn't get anything with it. Copiumatic taking them down moments before it fires off. That's going to be the cost of 2 members from UTK now. Retake has to come through strong here, but Goon Guy feeling way back. Oh, the headshot from Nova Core. It deals near fatal damage, but not enough to take that Jet player down. Economy now going to be able to go up onto that high spot. Vicious should have heard the steps from Goon Guy, but I'm not sure if they recognized it. That means one is coming. Economy picking up from behind, and now all of a sudden Vicious and Sailor's in a very uncomfortable position. Doesn't matter. Wills has the shot next.
And yet again, Rochester winning 4 rounds in a row. They're yet again looking to grow a lead that can look extremely dominant, and they're on the attack side as well. Sure, this is their own map pick, but the split defense, it's notorious for being extremely one-sided and extremely favorable. But Goon Guy and Wills, they have been so good to playing together and separately as well. Their individual fights, individual 1v1s have pretty much worked out in their favor across the whole board. Goon Guy, the only 2 times he has died were the rounds that RIT ended up losing, so he's going to be the key target for UTK to eliminate this time. He's faced off 1. dealt with.
Oh, and this guy dangerously low has to basically run all the way to sewers to avoid getting chased by Topium. A lot of damage been done to them. That Viper really wants to stay alive as long as possible, so best to regroup with your team so you still have that long-term smoke usage if possible. And now it looks like RIT going to slowly be routing back through sewers, keeping that Viper once again in the middle, making sure they don't get snuck up on or having to take the fight immediately into the headlong. Although that Sky, having that heal is going to be a nice refresher.
You want to find it?
Absolutely. But Copium, he flanked all the way from the attack spawn, but the read, it wasn't accurate. The Vicious sadly is not going to get healed up either, so he's working around with still 7 HP while Goon Guy has been healed all the way up, and it's a 5 versus 3. The Astro ultimate eventually going to go down, and Trailblazer is humongous as he's been able to find too.
Flawless.
And I was actually surprised that Trailblazer didn't just right out to kill that Saber player in Vicious. I would have sworn it would have done more damage than they had in health, but Vicious getting lucky enough, if you want to consider it that. But Vicious is also going to be pocketing
BYB fam.
into
Going
the
to
next
Astral to do them
round. This is going to be
Astral
a
thing,
costly buy, and if I'm being sincere here in Flip, I'm not sure that the mechanics from UTK have proven, you know, to have enough payoff for it.
No, they have my attention.
Yeah, I mean, Vicious's aim was pretty impressive in the pistol round and the round that followed, but after that, it's pretty much been dull from UTK as a whole. And again, as you've mentioned before as well, you can't play in this Astro smoke so much this aggressively. Sure, RRT haven't spotted you out so much, but it's a gamble. They can just spam through the smoke and get a free kill as well if they ever decide to do so, or if you get spotted once,
Recovering it.
it's going to be extremely dangerous to do it again and again. RIT though, they're just going to avoid that. They got the ultimate orb. Now they're just going to back off, play over towards middle. That's been the storyline for them. That's pretty much what they've done across this whole map so far. But UTK, can they change things up and maybe win this postman this time around?
I'm really impressed that the storybook is not needed to change from RIT. It's a little bit of a shame. We saw them adapting a lot on Ascent, but here on Split, I feel like it's kind of the opposite story. They're just keeping with what works. They don't feel the need to make huge sweeping changes. Going out those Seekers, but not able to connect Sticky Rice with a nice satchel,
30 seconds
nice
left.
blast pack into the site, immediately onto that stack. Nova checking every corner, but it costs them as the swing comes
Without
out.
obscuring vision.
Very difficult for them to try to make those shots land, and now with 2 members remaining, Economy gonna be firing that Phantom, even though it is silenced. Everybody's gonna be hearing them, knowing approximately where they come out from, and a couple of rogue shots coming in from Sticky Rice, landing into the Astra player, enough to dissuade them from playing up, and instead it's just going to be a back off, trying to hold this year, it seems.
And UTK, for the first time, they're saving rifles as well. A wise choice, but UTK, RIT, excuse me, they're not letting this go. They're hunting down. They're not gonna let them sneak the op, and Rush has already fallen. Economy should get spotted out and killed as well as RIT. They secure their flawless, and they already have pretty much maxed out Economy across the board. This is only going to strengthen them further, and UTK now with a scoreline that looks like it could end in a similar fashion by the end of the first half that we saw on map number 1.
Now, call me crazy here, Inflict, but for all the times we've seen Chamber playing on that B entryway, wouldn't it make more sense to put the raise there, and as soon as you hear the ult orb go off, you just immediately dissuade with one of those paint shells? I feel like RIT has been running that consistently enough to where you can get that information, or you can pressure them out. You might even be able to stack it on top of the chamber. It's not what we're seeing, and I think we need to see that adaptation come from UTK. Either way, we're going to be seeing it once again. Sure, Goon Guy holding up the wall on A, but we can see 3 members at that entrance B. And Vicious manages to get one. They don't have those smokes up to obscure that vision, but I believe the ult orb still being achieved. And now, 1 member from UTK down. That chamber not going to be a factor in this fight any longer.
Toxins going up.
Goon Guy still playing this rather calmly. Topium was pushed up quite a lot, but he has a general idea about where Goon Guy might be, and
Blinded.
a little bit of damage traded. Jaybucky now in a world of trouble as there are 3 players stacked waiting for him, and oh, this is troublesome.
Oh no!
That corner eventually Wills takes him out, and yet again RIT look to enter into the A side with the behind the showstopper who's finding another kill, and no, of course, ooh, that's terrible ranking for that weapon, but Jaybucky not the same for you.
There's still an opportunity for UTK here. Is that somebody going out? Jaybucky trying to peek
30
around. The
seconds
Hunter has
left.
the shot just a little
Spike
bit too sharp.
planted.
Manages to put the one into Jayboogy's head. Takes them out of this equation for now. And Novacore stuck in a very uncomfortable position. It looks like they may be waiting for that Viper wall to drop to try to get some sort of space. Instead, no. They may be just creeping around. I'm wondering if this is going to be another save coming in for them. No, they do decide to push through. That decay eventually going to be wearing off, and now Novacore has to shake something up. Caught with the cog burst out. Sticky Rice managing to get the third, and that is not going to be going anywhere for UTK as RIT now makes this a 7-2.
And it looks more and more scary as we go on. Vicious yet again investing into that operator, not it's a questionable decision perhaps, because I'm pretty sure Vicious's 5 kills have just come from his deagle, so maybe just buy bullets for that. That's been pretty much the most convertible weaponry on the side of UTK as a whole. Nobody else even has 5 kills. So, but RIT though, as you mentioned last time around, they've done the same thing. And all 7 of the rounds that they won, I'm surprised that the adjustments of UTK have pretty much been nothing. You can see Vicious playing the same angles, you can see the same 2 players playing over towards the A side, and oh my god, that's very real estate for them to kick things off.
And Jayboogy is going to be quick to respond, but will the shots come through? No, it doesn't look like that. Viper is able to get the kills outright. Oh no, you guys not quite connecting the bomb buddy going in, but now the showstopper comes through. Jayboogy trying to send it through, but gets taken down once again. That is the second Rays we've seen lose their showstopper in the middle of activation. Okay, managed to get one, goes for the second.
Player standing.
Can't quite make the third, but that is at least giving a little bit of help over to that Vicious player.
Spike planted.
Trying to make it happen, but with an off and couple of shots from that Q ability, it's going to be tough. And again, it looks like another save might just try to come through.
Well, for it. I'm not sure if they achieve it, because now Vicious has been spotted out. Now Vicious is being hunted down as well. Tagged down to one, going to sustain a bit more damage, and Wills eventually finishes him off. And Rochester now up 8-2, and UTK again, no timeouts being called. And well, yeah, see, RIT, they know that they don't need an off. They're
1 second, peeps.
whatever they're doing
visit
so
the
far, it's
Astros
worked
to
out
play
absolutely
some stars.
perfectly for them. They don't need to make unnecessary changes. You don't fix something that isn't broken at all. UTK though, that's not the storyline for them. They're not fixing something that is broken. So I'm surprised there still has not been a single timeout called in this whole series, especially from the side of UTK.
Taking that back.
One thing I feel like I'm noticing more and more, UTK giving up more and more possession on that B site as we go through these rounds. We can see, again, that garage, just the ult orb's gotten for free, and then RIT immediately rotates off of this. Now, I don't know whether this is a good read for UTK. Maybe they can do something to stop those forces coming through, but two people that aren't going to be able to do anything, Copium and Nova, now put into the dirt. And 3 members remaining for UTK. And it's lofty. This is going to be the same rinse and repeat we've seen from RIT, but I have the anticipation that it's going to be the exact same result as well.
Perhaps. And with the economy only having a share to work with, it's looking likely that it will be the same storyline yet again. Side control completely taken over for RIT yet again. They have absolutely UTK. They have absolutely nothing to respond with. Their connects smoke and Vicious again. It's the deagle that connects for them, but Sticky Rice going
enemy remaining.
Free go on to economy though. Economy attacks quite a lot, and there's the 9th round on board, and 1 round before we have a literal the literally same scoreline that we had in the end of the first half on map 1, and double digits for RIT.
Yeah, and no matter what happens here, UGK going to be going into the second half at a massive disadvantage. Aside from just the scoreline, as you mentioned earlier, RIT going to have the advantage of being on the defense after this. That's being disadvantaged and then being swapped to a disadvantaged side. Never going to be a situation you want.
Get out of my way!
Absolutely not.
You are divided!
UTK, they have a couple of ultimates online already using the Tour de Force, but up goes, that's an angle that they haven't really utilized before. He's been able to find a couple of cracks behind it, so that's finally something positive going in the favor of UTK after those 2 round wins. And good Astra utility to keep the plant away for the time being. The paint shell going to further delay it, but with a minute left on the clock, still RD should be able to eventually get the bomb down. It's up to UTK.
Spike down B.
UTK, they've successfully kept
Last
them off the
player
bomb
standing.
so far.
Oh,
And now it's a 1v4.
yes, right here up on the high jump. Almost looks like they were going to get the shots onto the Astra, but just not quite able to make it connect. And UTK, I mean,
Switching
I don't
sides.
want to say that the second we see